us in the building. Cooking up. Let everybody roll in here. Johnny GTA, what's good? Yo, 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 yo. My man said this beat is sick, but what is this stream about? I'm just cooking up beats. Yeah, I'm just in Serato studio cooking up. y'all hear a rap over this beat? Kim and Dank asked, when did you make the Slick Doc reaction vid? I filmed it a couple days before Ruben Slick's birthday back in February, and I released it on his birthday. I did a live stream on my Twitch where I did the reaction video as well as the iceberg video. So if you're subscribed to my Twitch, you saw it first. Iceberg video's still not out though. It's coming. If you just joined, I'm doing a little cook up in Serato studio right now. Might get into a couple reaction videos a little bit later. New Twisted World video out. It's almost summertime, my boy. I've been out there in that yard doing yard work on my Hank Hill shit. Not for real though. It's that melanin. Alright, let's switch it up a little bit. Had to switch things up, chat. I wasn't feeling that last beat. Bollywood synth exactly where I want it. I almost got it, but like it's a little. I'm still working out the arrangement. Let me know what type of rapper I can hear rapping over this shit though. This is the Cook Up Hour with Quantum Supply. You're now locked in. Good bow. Cook, cook, cook. Quantum Supply in the building. You now locked into the Cook Up. Remember to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. You now locked into the mix, the cook up hour, quantum supply. Quantum supply, the cook up hour. You know what time it is. Go! Switchy! Then to the cook up hours, quantum supply on the beat. Cook up hours, QS. Switchy. Now in the cook up mix with Quantum Supply. You heard? Now I looked into the cook up Quantum Supply. Switchy. This is the cook up Quantum Supply. 5 BPM, D minor. Locked in the quantum supply, cook up our supply. Switchy. This is the cook up hour quantum supply. You are now locked into the Quantum Supply Cook-Up Hour. Hey, this next one's a very, very special beat. You know, it's close to my heart. It's a remake of one of the late, great Mac Dreezy's beats. One of my favorite Mac Dre songs. Let's get to it.
I'm gonna miss you in the morning. I'm gonna miss you in the morning. I'm gonna miss you in the morning. I'm gonna miss you in the morning.
Locked into the Quantum Supply Cook-Up Hour. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Damn, files are missing from that one. Whoops. That's not gonna work. That's what happens when you don't play at full level. Good job, Quantum. Fucking up. Still off. Okay, I like that more. Bring that shit the fuck back. Now in the cook up hour with Quantum Supply. Clip, bow! QS in the building. You now locked in to the cook up hour with Quantum Supply. cook up our Quantum Supply.
Bow.
Switchy. Run that shit the fuck back. Let's go. You're now locked in with Quantum Supply. Cook Up Radio. 122 beats per minute. B minor. Some slight. Let's go. Like, subscribe. All that jazz. Puff and pass. now locked in to the cook up hour. Quantum Supply in the building. You feel me? I got one more for y'all. Uno más, por favor. Quantum Radio. Switchy. Yeah. And that is Radio Hour. Let's go ahead and get updated on this underground hip-hop news. Got a couple of Twister World videos I want to watch with y'all. First one is about, is it okay to mock dead artists? Shit, we about to find out.
I don't really dabble with this side of the internet. I mean, of course I have an Instagram and I definitely do watch reels on there from time to time, but once I turn the app off, I don't really think too much deeper about them. As after all, everything on Instagram as well as every other social media platform is basically engineered to piss you off, because after all, the people who are running those apps want you to stay on there as long as possible, and if you get pissed off and then get into a fight with somebody in the comments, that's only going to boost the reel further and then show it to more people. But every once in a while a trend pops off online that you simply can't avoid, and this one was about the late rapper XXXTentacion. Now, if you're not familiar with the situation, it actually took place a couple months ago. Once again, I am late to the trend, but I'll explain it to you real fast. It basically all comes down to this one interview that X did with Fader back in 2017 that was later repurposed and used in the Look at Me documentary that was released in 2022, although when that originally came out, nobody really had all that much to say about it, as after all, it really didn't give that much more insight into his life. It was a lot of the same talking points that he was really discussing in the later half of his career once he got the blue hair and was starting to change his ways. However, there was one clip in particular from this interview that really started to gain attention in early 2025, where X was asked about his father and he would go on to say, what's that?
Father?
What's a father?
Do you have any relationship with your father? I mean, talk about your mom.
What's that? What's a father?
Daddy, chill.
And initially upon hearing that, you probably think the reason that people are talking about this clip so much is because X actually did have a father, although he didn't really seem to be all that present in his life and only really started to come around after he passed away. And while I definitely did see a couple comments about that after the video started to go viral, that's definitely not the main reason that people were so interested in this clip. And really it had nothing to do with the things that X was actually saying, it was more so the way that he was saying it, in a purposely deep voice, kind of stretching out his words so it sounds more impactful, when really he's not really saying much of anything. And people would immediately jump on this trend by making edits where he had lasers coming out of his eyes as well as putting different filters on it, which really seemed to piss off a big chunk of X's fan base, with people immediately taking to YouTube, creating videos calling out this trend and saying that the younger generation of the underground doesn't respect the pioneers who created the sound in the first place. However, these videos wouldn't help stop the trend at all, and if anything put even more fuel on the flame, with people creating more edits as well as looking even farther into X's career to see if they can find any more corny moments. And of course, when you're talking about corny X moments, it's only a matter of time before people bring up the 2017 XXL Cypher where X came out, told them to turn off the beat before then kneeling down and rapping in the dark. And people weren't just satisfied with coming after X, they would also start to crack
Twisted, he didn't just rap in the dark, he casted a demonic spell, okay? That nigga turned off the beat and casted the most demonic spell the rap industry has ever seen. Alright? I don't think Double XL has been the same since.
jokes about Juice WRLD as well, as around the time he just recently got into Fortnite, so he was more popular than ever, which of course created this cycle where people would make more reels and then people would make more videos on YouTube calling out those reels. It went on for a couple months, and at this point it seems like it's mostly petered out. And while I did post a couple stories on my Instagram talking about the situation when it was going on, I did want to give my full thoughts in a video. I just wasn't able to get around to it until right now, so well, here we are. So how do I feel about people making fun of XXXTentacion and Juice WRLD, two of the most instrumental figures in the entire SoundCloud wave, something that was taking place when I was a teenager in high school, which means that it was absolutely instrumental in my growth as a human being? Well, I think the reaction is completely overblown, I'm not even gonna lie. I mean, come on guys, did we not expect that eventually this was gonna happen? And before you leave this video all pissed off thinking that I'm saying it's okay to make fun of dead people, that's not what I'm saying at all. I mean, after all, both X and Juice had family members who are still affected by their passing, and on top of that, they had millions and millions of fans who were really affected when they died. And it's reasons like that that people like Vic Mensa have gotten a lot of shit for dissing X after he passed away, as well as a couple different comedians who also made jokes about X's passing.
Is anyone still mourning XXX Tentacion?
And yeah, I gotta say, that's pretty fucked up. I mean, he had only died just recently, not to mention his mother was actually in the audience at the time, so you definitely gotta pick a time and place. However, expecting the internet to be respectful is pretty foolish. I mean, after all, look at some other artists that passed away. People make fun of King Von every single day, saying that he's looking up at us, basically implying that he's in hell right now, which you can't really get much more disrespectful than that.
Can't
But I know
argue with
what
that,
people's
though.
arguments are gonna be. He was a serial killer who made fun of people after they died, so it's only right that he gets made fun of after he ends up passing away as well. And while I don't necessarily disagree, I mean, I'm not really going to get offended on the behalf of a murderer. It's kind of a slippery slope when you look into it. I mean, are we going to have the same energy if YNW Melly ends up getting the death penalty? I mean, I know some people are probably going to say that they would, but then you got to look at people like Gucci Mane and Snoop Dogg, who both definitely killed somebody, but just so happened to get away with it. Snoop Dogg is one of the most beloved celebrities in America. Are people really going to say Rip Bozo just because he killed somebody over 30 years ago? And where exactly does the line cut off? Is it only for serial killers, or is it also for people who only did a couple murders? Are we going to keep the same energy for and I mean, that definitely was a conversation that I heard about Kobe Bryant when he ended up passing away in 2020, as after all, he had a case back in 2003,
Hey, don't
so a lot of
disrespect the
people
GOAT.
thought it was okay to make fun of him passing away. And it seems that you don't even have to commit a vile crime, because people make fun of George Floyd probably more than any other person who's passed away in history. I mean, even to this day in 2025, I'm still seeing George Floyd memes, so it obviously isn't off the table to make fun of dead people. It seems like X must be a special case. But why is that? Is it because X was an artist? I mean, that can't be the case, because King Von was also a rapper and people have no issue making fun of him. Not to mention, if we're going to use that same logic about King Von being a serial killer, so it's okay to make fun of him, we got to talk about X's allegations as well, which aren't really even allegations at this point, as both his mother believes them and he actually personally admitted to them. I mean, this guy definitely did some pretty vile stuff. I mean, he admitted to stabbing like 7 people just so he could get a laptop. On top of that, he also admitted to his girlfriend. She talks a lot about this in the documentary, and if you really watch it, you can tell that she's not lying. I mean, there's no real clout to chase at this point. It would be a lot easier for her to say it never happened and then try to be part of the legacy, but she's still telling the same story pretty consistently. I mean, shit, she didn't even really want to get X in trouble at the time. She simply had to run away because she was being so badly that she ended up having to go back to her ex-boyfriend's house, which of course only made X even more upset, as well as giving his fans a lot of ammo to fling back at her, saying that she went back to her ex after something went wrong between the two of them. But the reason she went back there is because she literally had nowhere else to go. On top of that, there's the whole situation with Joycelyn Flores, where X basically ended up flying out the 17-year-old fan to meet up with him in a hotel room to supposedly sleep together, but something ended up happening where he wasn't able to do so, and then she would take her own life. After that, X would go
Story's
on to
so
make a
crazy.
hit song that was named after her, which seems pretty respectful, but when you realize that the two of them weren't really that close, it becomes a little bit more weird. I'm not trying to say that X was a creep or anything. I believe the age gap was only around 2.5 years, which really isn't that bad, but at the same time, when you think about how mentally unstable she supposedly was at the time and the fact that the two of them were trauma bonding, which seemed to be a pretty common trend when it came to X. However, I'm not saying that he caused her death to happen, just that he could have been a little bit more careful when it came to his relationships, and that he definitely was abusive at one point. Although of course his friends will deny it up and down, even though most of them ended up separating away from him after the allegations came out and only came back to supporting him after he already passed away, but that's neither here or there. All I'm trying to do is point out the fact that if you're trying to make the argument that making fun of dead people is okay as long as they committed heinous crimes during their life, well, it's kind of flawed, because X is also in that box, yet people really don't seem okay with people making fun of him. But that's the thing as well, people aren't even making fun of his death. None of these memes are about him dying in a tragic way. All they're really doing is making fun of one corny interview, so why is that not okay? So are we not allowed to scrutinize people after they pass away? I mean, what about Michael Jackson? People still make countless jokes about him, talk about him hanging his infant son out of a hotel window where he could have fallen to his death, and on top of all of that, they still call him a even though he ended up going to court on 2 separate occasions and was proven innocent. And I'm not even saying that Michael Jackson actually is innocent. It's totally possible that the courts got it wrong, but either way, there's a lot more proof that he really didn't do the crimes that he was accused of than X. But anyways, I'm getting off topic. The main point that I'm trying to make here is that X ended up passing away incredibly young. He died at 20 years old. I mean, right now I'm 24 and I'm still pretty brain dead. So at that age, when you've only just become an actual adult and you're no longer a teenager, it makes sense that you're gonna say some corny stuff. In fact, this interview actually happened when X was only 19 years old. I mean, look back at some of the stuff that you did as a teenager. I'm sure you're pretty embarrassed by it. And to make matters even worse, people like X and Lil Pump were basically filmed throughout their entire teenage years, meaning every single mistake they ever made was recorded and is now available online until the end of time for people to watch, comment on, and talk about. And I don't think any of you guys have an issue with making fun of Lil Pump for all the shit that he got into when he was 15 years old, even younger than X. It's okay to admit that some of the stuff that X did during his career was kind of corny. I mean, even at the time, people were saying that XSL Cypher was pretty corny. Everybody was vibing. You had Playboy Cardi, Ugly God, Made in Tokyo. They were definitely making a hit there that could have rivaled even the 2016 Cypher class, and then X comes out and basically does slam poetry. I mean, it's corny. And the way that he was talking in that interview really doesn't surprise me, because that's basically the way that he always talked on his live streams, slowing down every word and making sure to emphasize everything so it sounds really cool and deep.
I want to say that you have two very good artists and two people put in positions of power that don't understand that the way that they deal with the situation kind of makes that energy transpire in many different aspects.
But I'm not even trying to shit on him for that, because once again, he was 20 years old. I mean, everybody kind of acts like that at that age. He had the entire world watching him. He wanted to make it seem like he was getting better and going in a different direction. I mean, he was facing a lot of time in prison. I think anybody would try to clean up their image and their act at that point to try to avoid all that time. And that's exactly what X was doing. But that doesn't mean that none of the words that he was saying at the time were meaningful. And if it impacted you in any way, that's all right. I think the main reason that people get so upset when X is being made fun of is because people have a personal relationship to him. A lot of people listen to his music when they were really struggling. They went and watched his live streams to get through the day, hearing that somebody else was suffering the way that they were suffering. I mean, many of you might have been going through similar things to him, and just hearing it spoken out loud really meant a lot to you. And if the music still means a lot to you, it doesn't matter the actions that he took in life or how much people make fun of him. It's still meaningful. And I think this is a big issue online in the modern day, that everybody's kind of in a herd mentality where once something switches and becomes corny, you can no longer listen to it, you can no longer enjoy it, but you still can. I mean, make your own opinions. You don't have to get on the internet and defend X like he was your best friend. If he really was an artist that you loved, if his words meant a lot to you and his music really changed your life, there's nothing that anybody can say online that can take that away from you. So you should continue to do so and not really care what people are saying. There are no sacred cows online, and it was only a matter of time before this wave of hate came to X, the same way that it happened to Lil Peep about 3 years ago. I mean, when Peep first passed away, absolutely everybody was on the wave of calling him a legend, listening to his music, getting tribute tattoos, and some people even tried to copy his style one for one. But after a while, the trend would die down, and all of the fans that only came after he passed away would also move on. And since then, we've seen a non-stop barrage of people shitting on his legacy, saying that he's not a legend, that he didn't even make good music in the first place, and the only reason that people pay attention to him is because he passed away. And this is the unfortunate cycle of a lot of these artists. They're gonna get a lot of hype when they first pass away, and then after a while, people are gonna start to make fun of them, and then hopefully, if they really are meant to stand the test of time, a new generation of people will come in, start listening to their music, and they'll have a whole nother burst of relevancy. And the only reason that we didn't see this happen to X and Juice WRLD earlier is because they were a lot bigger before they passed away, meaning they already had a built-in fan base that was gonna hype them up for years. Although a lot of those people are probably now growing up and moving away from it, there's gonna be people who are always gonna be fans of X, but they're not necessarily gonna be on the internet every single day talking about him, being on subreddits, making YouTube videos, and that's okay, because eventually people do grow up. It's still meaningful, but eventually you're gonna move on with your life, and that's when the new generation comes in. I mean, X has been hyped up as this absolutely generational artist, this guru who spoke words of true wisdom that could not be matched or fathomed. He was ahead of his time, he knew everything about the world, and if he was still alive today, he would be the biggest artist to ever live. That's what his fans will tell you. And of course, when that's pushed on you time and time again, and you actually listen to the music and you're not really as big of a fan as everybody else, you're gonna start to kind of resent it, and eventually that resentment turns into hate, and then eventually that hate turns into you making fun of it. When it comes to me, I like a lot of X's music. I think that he was a very interesting character in the SoundCloud wave. I think he changed a lot, I think he influenced a lot, and I think just the type of person that he was so interesting to watch that everybody became enthralled with him and his personality. reality. I mean, the dude was a complete crash out. He was making this insane music where he was screaming his head off. He was getting into fights with people all the time. He was saying that he was going to do terrible things to people on Twitter, and he even ended up getting punched out on his own tour. That is an interesting character, and no matter what crimes he committed, I can't fault anybody for wanting to pay attention to him and his life story. But the whole blue-haired guru act was something that he only tried to do to get himself out of trouble. His words might have been genuine, and it might have resonated with you if you were young at the time, but you gotta realize that kids coming up nowadays are not necessarily going to take the same points away from those as you did, and that's okay. But whatever, I've talked about X enough. Now I want to talk a little bit more about Juice WRLD, because when it comes to him,
Alright, so X is like a modern day Kurt Cobain to a lot of these fans out here. And honestly, I could fully understand why people like XXXTentacion as a person and as well as his music. I've been following for a long time, so I'm not like the biggest fan, but I do appreciate some of his music. Now, when it comes to his live streams, I think that's where he really tapped in with a lot of his fan bases, because he was giving them advice. He was talking to them like they was, the homie and type shit. But for me personally, I feel like he was kind of manipulative, bro. Like, and he was pretty young at the same time, so I gotta cut him a little bit of slack. But I could easily see why people would be clowning X, because his behavior was, in my opinion, quite manipulative. That being said, I'm not gonna yuck anybody's yum. If you like X, you like X. That's cool. But honestly, that would be like Ruben Slick trying to give somebody advice, bro. Like, we're not here for that. For you, make your music, keep it moving type shit is how I feel with most of these artists. Their personal lives, I could do without most of them. There's only a few artists that I could say by name that I've completely stopped listening to after allegations have come out. But for people that continue to listen to those artists, I don't have any issue with that. There's plenty of people that still listen to R. Kelly every single Saturday and Sunday while they cooking and cleaning. Plenty of people, bruh.
I'm a little bit more personally invested. I mean, I was never a big fan of X at the time that he was alive, but when it came to Juice, I definitely was. He was one of the biggest artists in the world when I was in my final year of high school. You couldn't go anywhere without hearing both of his albums, as well as a couple songs off the Future project, even though that one wasn't as good as Goodbye and Good Riddance, as well as Death Race for Love. And when he did eventually pass away, a lot of us really couldn't believe it. I know everybody has this perception of Juice WRLD that he was this massive drug user, which of course he was, but at the time his team did a really good job of hiding all that, because for the most part people didn't really notice how bad it was. It wasn't the same way that it was with Lil Peep. People could definitely tell that he was pretty hard in the drugs, and they probably just didn't care because that was his persona. But when it comes to Juice WRLD, I promise you that nobody could really tell that it was happening at the time. And if you could, well, you're very special. Make sure to tell me in the comments below. But for the most part, me, my friends, anybody I talked to online, nobody was saying, oh, Juice is gonna die tomorrow. So when he did, it was incredibly shocking. But unfortunately, we didn't even really get that much time to grieve before his label started spinning the entire narrative and changing a lot about his life, trying to build him up as this tragic emo artist who was calling out to his fans and begging that somebody would notice how much pain he was in. But we gotta level with ourselves here for a minute. The guy made party music and breakup songs for high schoolers, which once again is fine. He was only 21 years old when he passed away. He only just left high school and then he became super famous, so it makes sense that he was rapping about what he knew. But to sit there and think that there was any super deep meaning to any of his songs is kind of ridiculous. I mean, the guy basically freestyled every single track. He mostly talks about perkies, the devil, water, and well, how all girls are the same and that he's having lucid dreams. And I mean, those songs definitely slapped at the time, and even to this day I can still put on his old albums and still really enjoy the music. However, unfortunately, with him passing away at the age that he did, it meant that he was never really able to grow and change his style, start to make deeper and more introspective music. I do truly believe that he would have eventually did that. But with him passing away at the age that he did, we were left with over 2,000 songs about perkies, heartbreak, and not a lot more. And of course, the label is going to want to take advantage of that and put out all the music that he had in the vault so they can make more money off of it. But the more and more they put out, the more oversaturated it gets. I mean, I really like Wasted, but how many more songs do we need that sound exactly like that? I'm not trying to hate on the music. I mean, after all, if you like it and you want more of it, that's understandable. But once again, you got to see the outside perspective. These younger kids who are now coming up, up who never really grew up with Juice WRLD are hearing that he's the greatest artist that ever lived. And not only that, but they missed out on his career, which was incredible. And now they're trying to listen back to the music. They're not really taking away from it what we used to back in the day, and they're feeling kind of upset that they keep getting the same artist pushed down their throat time and time again, so they start to make fun of them. And the Juice WRLD memes are definitely a lot more disrespectful than the X ones, with a lot of people talking about the way that he passed away and making jokes about him stuffing perks down his throat, which definitely isn't that tasteful, but once again, it's the internet. And I would say to all the hardcore Juice WRLD fans to really prepare yourself for what's to come, because at this point, he just put out his final posthumous album, meaning there's not going to be a lot of new stuff to bring in more fans, and eventually you're going to get to the point where people aren't talking about him as much as they did. This already happened to X, it already happened to Peep, and it will happen to Juice. Juice's fans are a little bit younger. I mean, after all, he came out a couple years after X, not to mention a lot of people who got into him came after he passed away, so it will be a couple years before people really allow jokes to be made at his expense. I have seen a couple reels made about Juice where people are trying to call him out for being corny as well, but for the most part, people aren't really fucking with that. And honestly, Juice never really did as much corny stuff as X. He wasn't trying as hard. When it comes down to it, X was a truly tormented person who was most likely raised by a complete piece of shit and neglected by his father, leading him to pick up a lot of toxic traits from his mother, which he would later employ on other people, leading him to have a pretty rough past that he was trying to escape. Whereas Juice WRLD was kind of just a happy-go-lucky fat drug addict who really enjoyed making music and was really a positive presence for everybody around him. I'm not trying to downplay the struggle that he had with addiction. There was definitely a lot of dark parts of his life as well, and he always seemed to be going back and forth with his girlfriend, breaking up before then getting back together, so that was kind of a toxic cycle for him. But all I'm trying to say, and the main closing point for this video, is that both Juice, X, and Peep, if you want to bring them into this, were human. And with these artists in particular, it seems like after they passed away, their teams made a real effort to make it seem like they weren't actually human and were actually infallible gods who spoke for an entire generation of hurt and mentally ill kids. And that's completely obnoxious, and a lot of people really are seeing through that and getting tired of it. However, as time goes on, that's all going to fade away. Everything that the labels built up and the whole supposed legacy that they have right now is not going to be the legacy that they have in 10 years. If these guys are really going to stand the test of time, if people are really going to keep listening to their music for years to come, then it's going to be up to the next generations to decide for themselves what they take away from their life stories, what they take away from their words, and what they take away from their music. And I think the most important lesson to take from the older generation is to not force our favorite artist onto the younger kids. I mean, look back to what the old heads were doing during the SoundCloud era. They kept hyping up people like Tupac and Biggie, who are definitely legendary artists, but at the end of the day, if they didn't mean anything to us and we didn't take anything away from their music, them pushing them on us time and time again didn't help. I mean, try to remember how annoying it was to have all the older people in your life shit on your taste in music, call it trash, and say that their music was better. It probably made you want to shit on it, and now the younger kids are doing the same thing to us. So we just need to back off a little bit, let them have their fun, and if these artists are truly as legendary as we think they are, they'll be okay. Their legacies are going to survive. I promise you that their music is still going to keep doing numbers, and making weird posts about how you supposedly got beat up in a library because you were listening to X's music is not going to really help him look any better. So maybe just keep quiet on that one. Let this run its course, and I'm sure in a couple years time there will be a bunch of dead artists from the new generation who people will also be making fun of. So this cycle will never end, but hopefully we can at least make a little bit of a difference. And with all that said, if you're actually able to listen through the whole video and hear out my entire opinion, I really appreciate you. I'm sure there's a bunch of people who left in the first 5 minutes, left a nasty comment because they thought that I was making fun of X. That wasn't my intention at all. I was just trying to show both sides of the situation. I could have made a video completely morally grandstanding about how bad it is to make fun of him, but I thought the situation deserved a little bit more nuance than that, and that's always what you're gonna get with the Twisted World channel. So if I piss you off, my bad, but at some point I'm gonna be making a full XXXTentacion video, so if you really are pissed off about it, I hope to see you there again. Now, I'm just kidding. For the most part, the X fan base seems to be really cool. There's a couple weird people within it, but every time I'm on the Reddit, everybody seems pretty chill. It's definitely a lot better than what the Pete fan base used to be, and it's definitely a lot better than what the Juice WRLD fan base is right now. But with all that said, if you enjoyed the video...
Yeah, with that being said, Juice WRLD, before he passed away, already had a crazy, ravenous fan base. I remember on the Chiracology subreddit, they were clowning this man because he was affiliated with Bibby, and in turn was affiliating himself with Eastside Chicago gangs, and also in turn dropping gang signs of rival gangs. So yeah, people were calling him a fucking goofy. Yeah, Juice World, I think they were like calling him Juice Universe because there was a lot of fat jokes every day. Every single day there was a new Juice World fat joke. There was a new perky joke. He was getting it, bro. He was getting it. And I think some of those jokes probably went to his head a little bit. You know, like I know he reads the or would read the comments. And considering that he was in active addiction while he was reading all of that, pretty sure some of that probably led to him overdosing low key. But that being said, Juice WRLD's fan base has always been pretty ravenous. XXXTentacion's fan base has also been pretty annoying, but I don't think anybody is as annoying as Lil Peep's fan base, bruh. So, that being said, we got another video from Twisted World. Dave Blunts versus Lil Tracy.
Hey, what's up everybody? We are back again, and today we are once again going to be looking at the beef between Space Ghost Perp and Little Tracy. And I know, I said the last video I did on the subject was going to be the final one, but that was only because I thought they were going to continue on doing the same sort of stuff where Tracy was going to be barely responding to Perp, and Perp was going to keep going on schizo rants. And as entertaining as I find that, and probably all of you do as well, I didn't really think it was worth doing another video on. But it turns out right around the time that I stopped paying attention to it, another big player came into the beef going by the name of Dave Blunts, which ironically I just recently made a video on. And at this point I just can't ignore it anymore. It really does feel like worlds are colliding.
It's literally Dave Blunts versus everybody right now. I'm pretty sure Dave Blunts was just beefing with Summers and Can. So it appears that Dave Blunts is trying to pick through all the old underground rappers, kind of ruffle some feathers, and maybe get into a new fan base. That's what I'm thinking here. I think he's really just trying to get himself into a new fan base.
My favorite rappers are coming together to fight with each other. Truly a beautiful sight. So this all popped off about 2 to 3 weeks ago, right when the Space Ghost Perp stuff was coming to an end, with Tracy going on his story and sharing a phone call that he had with Dave Blunts where he said, "This nipple calls me to bully me." And honestly, I did see this at the time and didn't think a lot of it. I mean, we all know that Dave Blunts is a little bit of a jokester and he really likes getting in beef in the underground scene, so it makes sense that after Little Tracy got into kind of a high profile beef with Space Ghost Perp that he would want to get involved. Honestly, the most surprising thing about this whole situation is that Dave Blunts is actually tapped in with Little Tracy. I mean, I understand that Little Tracy is a somewhat big rapper and he has a lot of clout from back in the day, but I never really put him on the same level as somebody like Dave Blunts, who is like the biggest artist in the game right now. And no, I'm not making a fat joke, I'm actually being genuine. I know I talked a little bit of shit about Dave Blunts in my last video, but I do have to say it's pretty cool to see that he actually is tapped in with the underground scene and he is paying attention to what's going on instead of being like 6ix9ine after he started to pop off, only beefing with high profile rappers. I mean, I don't know, man. On one hand, it seems like Dave Blunts is doing too much, but on the other, he is actually making some pretty smart moves. So let's see how he continues on with this so-called beef. After that, Dave Blunts took it from being private to making it public by sharing a picture of Little Tracy and saying, "Come on, bro," with a bunch of facepalm emojis, basically making fun of the fact that he's a 30-year-old man who's still dressing emo. After that, Little Tracy then hopped on a live stream where he talked about a bunch of stuff, and we'll come back to that later, but the most important moment right now is that he ended up talking about Dave Blunts, with him going on to say the only reason that he called in the first place is because he wants to beat his ass and that he was trying to set up a fight, which is really funny to think about. Could you actually picture Dave Blunts and Little Tracy throwing hands? I mean, if Dave Blunts actually ends up losing a bunch of weight, the two of them definitely should do a boxing match. I would pay to see that. In fact, I would sit in the front row. You guys do that?
Just run around, run in circles.
Fucking weird, bro. He's like, "I'll beat y'all." I'm like, "You can't even get up. What are you talking like? Who are you?"
After that, a couple different news pages on Instagram ended up picking up the story. Nobody huge like No Jumper or anything like that, but it was making waves. One in particular called Underground Rap Plug, shout out to them, actually ended up making a post saying Dave Blunts is randomly calling artists to start beef with them now, hashtag Little Tracy. And surprisingly, Dave would go on to shut this down immediately by saying, "Me and Tracy are friends, I love Tracy, we just be trolling each other, laughing emoji, laughing emoji." And I don't know about that one, guys. It kinda seems like you weren't really joking and you might have been doing this to get a little bit of attention on a possible upcoming song between the two of you, which was then confirmed when Tracy ended up posting on his story saying, "I'm just trolling, me and Dave are cool, bro's gonna be on the next album," which is definitely the best outcome. As entertaining as I might find it to see Dave Blunts and Little Tracy get into a back and forth beef over Instagram, I think seeing the two of them together on a song is definitely going to be pretty cool. I mean, Dave Blunts really hasn't done that many features during his career yet, so seeing him hop on a track with Little Tracy is definitely going to be pretty cool, and I I honestly can't wait to listen to it. But besides that, there's really nothing more to say about this beef, although I do have a little bit more to say about Dave Blunts, because after my recent video came out, he actually ended up making a post on Instagram talking about everything that's gone on during his career and how he's actually going to take a break to try to get more healthy and maybe lose weight. I'm not really going to overly explain it here. I'm simply going to let it play out so you can listen to it for yourself.
Hi, this message is for my fans and for the niggas that don't like me. First, we're going to address the fans. I love my fans so very much. You guys have turned my life from poverty into luxury in less than a year, and I feel indebted to you guys for that. I now can take care of my family, my friends, and my mom and everybody that I love because of you guys who listen to my music. So I thank you for that. And because of that, I felt indebted to you. I felt like even though I'm not healthy enough to go on this tour, I need to do it to prove not only to my fans that I love them enough to give them a good show, and also to the niggas that don't like me and hate me that I can do it. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to finish the tour. And because I'm in the hospital and I'm sick and I'm hooked up to oxygen and all this shit going on, I have to cancel my tour. I'm very sorry. That shit saddens me. I'm not going to be able to sleep for a little bit because of this. But
when was this video taken? He's canceling his tour? No. Didn't you just have the oxygen tank on stage with you, bruh? What is going on?
it's time for me to prioritize my health instead of worrying about all the other shit that doesn't matter. Such as Antonio Brown, like riding my dick randomly in the middle of the night for no reason. All these niggas that just decide to wake up and hop on my dick. I need to not focus on that, and I need to focus on eating right, exercising, and getting better, because that shit is for my fans, and not only for my fans, for me. I need to focus on me. So I'm going to be taking a brief hiatus from the internet, from music, and truly just focus on exercising, eating right, and bettering myself. Not for the fans, not for the bitches, myself. And so that's for the fans. For the niggas that don't like me, please don't think that this shit is over. I promise you I will be back. And I promise you shit is not sweet. Right now, I'm not focused on anybody talking shit about me. I'm not going to respond to anything. But best believe if niggas decide to get on my dick while I'm away, when I come back, nigga, I'm on that ass. So I love y'all, and I'm sorry I got to cancel the tour.
So yeah, there you have it, guys. It seems like Dave Blunts was actually able to drop the character for a little bit to have an open heart-to-heart with all of his fans, and honestly, it's pretty nice to see that he's actually willing to focus on his health and he's not doing it to get more attention. I mean, I gotta give the guy credit where it's worth. He definitely is a lot more intelligent than I first thought, and it seems like he is actually willing to self-reflect and work on himself before he ends up going down the wrong path, which is something that we don't often see from artists when they're at the top of their game, and something that they only seem to learn once they start to fall off. But
Okay, I need a little bit more clarification on this Dave Blunt's canceling the store situation. Because this ain't adding up to me. This ain't adding up at all. Alright. Dave Blunt explains canceling his tour after ending up in the hospital. I swear I'm having flashbacks. Deja vu.
No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world. We're doing something a little bit different today. We have a remote call going with the man himself, Dave Blunts. Dave, how you doing?
Oh man, I'm feeling better each day that I'm in here, but you know, they're in here, they're draining the fluids, excess fluids from my body, and also doing some things to help my lungs, giving me medications for that. So each day I'm feeling better, but it's still a process.
You know, me and all that machinery around you have a lot in common because we both exist to drain your fluids out of your body.
This nigga.
That's a pretty good one. I give it to you.
Okay, yeah, you're kind of the king of that at this point, so I had to share.
Yeah, I like that. That was a good one. It could have been better, but it was good.
Okay, wait. So break down the scenario in which this took place, because you were on tour. How many dates into the tour did you make it before you actually ended up in the hospital?
I don't know. The whole tour was 15 dates, so I did Phoenix, I did Austin, I did Dallas, I did Houston, I did New York. Yeah, it's about five dates.
Okay. And everything was going smoothly up until a certain point, health wise, or did you start to have issues kind of early on?
Well, I knew I was sick before. I knew I was sick before, but I was going to power through it.
Right.
Against, everybody telling me,
Got you.
maybe you sure you ready? I'm ready. But
makes sense.
I couldn't do it no more.
Chat, going on tour takes a lot out of you, bruh. It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of coordination. Like, it's a full time job for real. Like it's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort, and I could see how somebody with health issues could easily fall into bad health. I mean, to be honest, we've seen people pass out on stage in Texas. You feel me? Like, yeah, R.I.P. Big Pokey. Like, he's lucky to still be alive. He did those 3 days in Texas out there, bruh. Hey, Texas don't play.
When we got to Boston for the show, the day before, I was just like, yeah, no, I got to go to the hospital.
What?
I was just having troubles breathing. I was having troubles breathing, and it's a heart failure exacerbation. Is what it is. I
Damn.
have heart failure, so that causes fluids to leak from the heart into other parts of the body, causing swelling
Oh my.
and weight gain and trouble breathing. It's fluids in the lungs and other parts of the body as well. So,
Damn.
yeah.
And so does being on tour make all these things worse? And what is it about being on tour that makes your health kind of decline while you're out there?
It's not the tour, it's me. I take full accountability for it. This was a completely avoidable situation. The reason that I'm in here is because of missed doses of medication.
Damn.
And increased intake on like sodium, like salt, things that I'm eating. So it's my fault that I'm in here.
Being on the road, you just end up eating fast food. You end up eating a bunch of crappy food as opposed to being at home, right?
Yes, but also, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, happens to everybody when you're on the road. Okay, it cut out for a second there, but what were you saying?
This situation, me being in the hospital, was completely avoidable. It was because of missed medications and the wrong foods that I was eating. I take fully accountability for it myself. This isn't like a glandular problem or whatever issue. It's a full me issue, and yeah.
Okay. Do you wish that you hadn't done the tour? Do you wish that you had just stayed home and tried to get your health right?
Nope.
Because I know it was super important to you to actually follow through with it.
Yeah, yes, it is super important to me to follow through with it. And I plan, to continue on the tour when I get out of here. If I get out of here before all the dates. But yeah, I'm just taking it day by day and really focusing on getting better. But I am, anxious to finish the tour.
No, definitely. Has that been tough to see the fans' reaction to you canceling a bunch of dates and everything, and seeing them be kind of disappointed and having to move their social calendars around and everything?
Yes, it's been, bro. It's devastating to me. I've spent most of the time in here crying about that shit. You know what I'm saying? It's because when you're an artist, it's just all on the internet. But when you see people in real life start to do these shows, and I meet people, they're coming to my concerts dressed up like me in my tracksuits, or they create their own version of my tracksuits. You know what I'm saying? And people are passing out at my shows because they get a chance to meet me and see me, and you know what I'm saying? So it's devastating that I'm letting those people down.
Yeah, you know what hurts is that I think there was a good
Go ahead, my bad.
Sorry. You know what hurts is that I actually spent like $120, including shipping, to order your tracksuit just because I thought it would be hilarious to show up on the podcast one day wearing it. And then for some reason, it went to a random address in Boston, which I have never lived at that address. I've never been to that address. I never lived in Boston. And so somebody out there has a Dave Blunt's tracksuit. They're probably fairly confused. And it should have been me, but it didn't come to LA.
Man, I'm in Boston right now. So
I know, which is convenient.
I'll go get it. I'll get it, and yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go get it.
Ah, man, it still kind of hurts just knowing it's out there somewhere. Wait, what are the doctors telling you right now in regards to your health and everything? Like, what kind of advice are the doctors giving you? Does it feel like they're mad at you for taking on this endeavor, or are they kind of open-minded?
No, they're not. Nobody's mad at me. Everybody here is actually pretty nice, and they're understanding, and they're really accommodating. They're fans of me. They know my music. Oh, my kids listen to you. They love you. Can't put down the cup and all that stuff. And so yeah, they're very nice and accommodating. And they're just telling me that yeah, you know that this is avoidable. This isn't a price and like you just have to change your life if you want to save it.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so kind of bouncing all over the place here, but you just dropped an album on SoundCloud a couple of days ago. I just listened to the first like 3 or 4 songs. What made you want to drop this album on such short notice and put it out on SoundCloud, which I assume is you not wanting to go through all the bullshit of getting it uploaded to Apple Music and clearing samples or whatever stuff you might have to deal with?
Yeah, well, the thing is, I was making music while I'm in here. I have my equipment with me.
Oh.
And I take it everywhere with me. And this isn't the first time I made music in the hospital. My fans know that. So I really wanted to get this shit out to the people. There was a few songs that...
Imagine you're in the hospital, hooked up to oxygen, hooked up to a heart monitor. You just hear that beep, beep, beep. But from a few walls away, you hear, yeah, 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 yeah. Dave Blunt's loud ass. Yo. Ain't no way that he's recording in the hospital, bro. It's not happening. It's not happening. The nurses wouldn't allow that.
People wanted that were unreleased, and there was a lot of music that I was making while I was in here that was just like, just being in here, man, it's like...
Especially the way he raps.
I wasn't getting the right oxygen to my brain. So it's like my thought process and my decision making was like not good or correct. But now that I'm in here and I have the oxygen to my brain and they're draining the fluids, I'm thinking so clearly. Like I feel like I have like I don't know,
he
like
mega
I have like
mind.
a second wind or just like some shit that I got to get off my chest, some shit that I got to say. So I wanted to drop. I'm like, damn, I want to drop an album from the hospital. Like nobody's done that before. Like I'm gonna do that. That's some shit that I made in the hospital, recorded myself, and shit like that. I really wanted to do that, so I did that. It was kind of like, the reason why I put it on SoundCloud is because if I would have went through the label, it would have been clearances and all that shit. I'm like, I wanted this to be to the people now, and we'll deal with that shit later. I didn't even ask my label. I don't even know if they're mad about it or not. I was just figuring, hey, we're gonna drop this shit. Ask for forgiveness later.
For sure. Like, what was the stuff that you wanted out there that you were the most determined to release? Because I noticed that, like, even just listening to the first few songs, that it's like you're kind of clapping back at a few different people. You said that Antonio Brown deserves to be on the registry. You were kind of getting at Fantano because he had some negative things to say about you in a video recently. What was the most pressing content on there?
Just what I was feeling, like my music. Like I told people before, is my music, my albums are like my diary. It's what's going on in my life at this moment. Right. So I wanted to give people an update, like this is what's going on. The name of the album is Change or Be Changed, and that's what I'm going through right now. It's either I change or I get changed. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I named it that, because now it's like this is a wake up call. Like now I gotta stop fucking around before a nigga end up in the grave or some shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's why I named it that. And also things I want to get on my chest.
Okay, so you just saw the clip, but did you know that you can watch this entire
interview? Let's get back to this Twisted World video. I just needed a little bit of clarification as to why Dave Blunt was in the hospital. But it looks like he's getting his fluid taken out. That's good. That's good.
Who knows? Maybe Dave Blunt actually ended up seeing my video and he really took it to heart. I'm not saying that he's a bad guy or an evil person. That wasn't my intention with that video. Only that he was starting to get into a bit of an echo chamber where he was only growing more and more edgy and getting more of a reaction from his audience, which, like I said before, is only going to get you so far. Eventually people will get tired of it. So it's good to see that he's changing gears before he goes too far. Although hopefully he doesn't take too much time away. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's definitely good for him to get away from the internet internet and try to focus on his mental health, but at the same time, when you're a poppin' rapper, you can only be away for so long before people start to forget about you. Although I think Dave's gonna be okay, he's already made enough of a spectacle around him and his name at this point that people aren't gonna forget him so easily, not to mention he still has those big name connections, and he really knows how to market himself. I gotta give him that. So when he comes back, we can expect something crazy to happen, but for right now, Dave, well, I hope you get better. Oh yeah, and real quick, because I don't know where else to put this, the rapper Burn Kaz actually recently got released from prison and he's making a comeback. If you don't know about him, I actually did a video on him a while back talking about his entire story. Honestly, it's kind of a sad one where he ended up going down for a crime that he didn't commit, and then he had to sit in prison for 6.5 years for a simple gun charge. So it's really cool to see that he's actually free. Him and Drown Millie actually ended up appearing in a music video together on World Star Hip Hop, so if you want to check that out, get more in tune with him, you definitely can. And well, the only reason I brought it up is because Burn Kaz actually ended up linking up with Dave Blunts as well, which means one of two things. Either Dave Blunts is a lot more tapped in than I ever gave him credit for, or Burn Kaz is really good at getting himself in situations where he can get clout. But either way, it's cool to see. And with all that said, let's move on from Dave Blunts and let's get back to our main two characters. Because right around the time that all of this was going on, Space Ghost Perp and Little Tracy continued to beef, and I know how much you guys love reading out these stories with me, so well, let's get into it. So it kicks off with Little Tracy posting on his story saying it's even more funny because I'm still gonna listen to this N-word music, he too fire to not be on the road constantly, N-words be confused. So really, Tracy isn't being all that disrespectful. He's simply saying that Space Ghost Perp is very influential, he makes good music, and he deserves to be in a better place than where he's at now, which honestly I kind of agree with. However, Space Ghost Perp is the most destructive man to ever live, so he continues on his own story by saying, for those of you who don't know why this pussy ass motherfucker Tracy is in my business about Black Cray, this goofy Tracy trying to push Booty Chain out the way because Tracy likes boys. This whole shit about Cray is towards—
Oh no, not Booty Chain allegations again. This is crazy. Booty Chain's always getting thrown into these allegations. I'm shocked Space Ghost Perp didn't bring up Ruben Slick in regards to this.
Cray's girlfriend. Her name is Booty Chain, and if y'all think Tracy's in my business about Booty Chain, then I'm gonna really get rid of him just like I'm about to get rid of Cray. And I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna get rid of everybody. Booty Chain is my girl now. I touched her when Cray was calling her phone. Cray is a cuck, Booty Chain aka hipster coochie. Now I truly do not—
Oh no, Space Ghost Perp. Oh no, so Space Ghost Perp is cuffing Booty Chain now? Ruben Slick's definitely on the shit list.
Understand what Space Ghost Perp's obsession with Booty Chain is. Apparently he must find her really attractive because he's actually been talking about her for years and years at this point. Every time he gets in a beef, he seems to bring Black Cray and Booty Chain into it. Now remember, this entire beef kicked off because Space Ghost Perp at one point or another ended up making fun of Black Cray, which Little Tracy really didn't like, as after all, he looks up to Cray and the two of them are friends. So that kind of brings the entire thing full circle. Apparently Space Ghost Perp doesn't like Black Cray because he likes his girlfriend, he wants her to be with him, so he started dissing Cray, which made Tracy mad, and well, that's where you get the whole vampire beef. Okay. Damn boys, I really thought all of this shit was about who was the first vampire. I thought you guys really cared, but no, it turns out you guys are beefing over a woman, and I'm sorry, but no true vampire would ever do that. So Space Ghost Perp, I'm sorry, we're gonna have to take away your vamp license. You can get it back after you take a sobriety test. And Little Tracy, you're on thin ice, buddy, you gotta leave Booty Chain alone. But nah, for real, Space Ghost Perp is probably talking out of his ass. I doubt Little Tracy is trying to get after Black Cray's girlfriend. I really think he's being truthful when he says the only reason that he's coming at Space Ghost Perp is because he doesn't like the fact that he's disrespecting Black Cray, which is fair. After that, Perp finally stopped talking shit, at least on Instagram, but over on Facebook he would continue on by saying, just seen Little Tracy selling his booty hole at the Motel 6. They sent me the video of him selling his booty hole in Arizona. He had on booty shorts, a tank top, and a blonde wig. Shit was hilarious, because if you claim you lit when you speaking on a motherfucker like me that got 4,000 people on the account, because your ass is guilty, that's why. We know your ass out there sleeping at the Motel 6 by the dumpster. Tracy, do you need some Wendy's? You always walk past Wendy's looking for a cock to suck on for a couple dollars. Your music garbage as fuck. You fell off. Wait, you was always trash. You just like Cyber. You put on lipstick and get smashed in the forest and then cry about it. And that's where he took it too far. Yo! Okay, Perp, you can make fun of Tracy as much as you want. You can even go
Cyber
Black
catching
Cray,
strays.
but as soon as you start coming after Cyber, that's when you got issues with me. Leave that man alone. You got gotta leave Cyber alone. He's the most
Not
influential
syringe.
artist of all time. You wish you could be Cyber. I mean, I know the guy ended up taking some Vicks Vapor Rub at one point and had a bit of a schizophrenic episode, but that
I
was a
don't think that was
one-time thing.
Vicks.
You're in a constant schizophrenic episode. If there was a schizo off, you would definitely win, but in every other category, Cyber's got you wiped down. Sorry, brother. And then after that, he says one more day until the race war pops off, which honestly, it's been more than a day since then, and I'm kind of disappointed. You tell me one thing, Perp, and then you don't follow through, and that's why I can't trust you anymore. After that, he continues to get on Tracy's ass by saying this motherfucker Tracy Minaj be performing at Amazon storage places, talking about he be on tour. Motherfucker, you perform where they make toilets at a random ass warehouse. So which is it, Perp? Is he at the Wendy's sucking somebody's dick, or is he in the Amazon warehouse performing? Because those are two very different things. I can respect the Amazon warehouse. There's nothing wrong with performing where toilets are made. I mean, the audience can listen to some rap and take a crap at the same time. Honestly, it sounds like a pretty breathtaking experience, and I wouldn't be hating on Tracy for that one. After that, he goes on to say, tell little Tracy when me and my N-words in Miami-Dade County, he gonna end up in a casket on JIT, emo ass fuck N-word, yo mama Coco a eater, I'm a nut in her mouth. He then continues on by saying Space Ghost Perp gonna shoot little Tracy when he sees him. After that, he then takes another shot at little Tracy's mom by saying Tracy Minaj, hey, this your mama Instagram, the real Coco. I'm gonna put my hand over her mouth and put a Glock in her twat and then blow that shit out. She gonna meet all my deceased ops. And I mean, come on, Perp, that's just straight up vulgar. If you really want to get at little Tracy's mom, you gotta take her on a nice date, maybe buy her some flowers, some chocolate, take her to a fancy restaurant. I know you have it in her. Wait, no, I mean, I know you have it in you, but I mean, if it goes right, you might have it in her at the same time. I mean, it could happen, Perp. Think about it. And then after that, you can give little Tracy a Wendy's hamburger that he doesn't even have to suck a dick to get. That would truly be respectful. It would end the beef and make all three of you one big happy family. But unfortunately, Perp is not a man of class. He's a man of action. So he takes a shot at Coco by saying the real Coco, little Tracy's mom, how you doing? Can I smash your mouth? And I see you, Perp, I see you. I mean, you're a little bit older than me, so I'm not really sure how you romance women your age, but I mean, maybe this line of attack would actually work. But unfortunately, with your prior story where you said you're gonna kill her, she's probably not gonna be that into it. After that, he goes on to say, little Tracy, your ass look like a transgender Pringle logo, which is kind of funny if you look at the mustache, he does kind of look like the Pringle logo, but I mean, he's not a transgender, man, come on. If he was, we know that Dave Blunts wouldn't be messing with him and that beef would actually be real. So it's confirmed that little Tracy is not a transgender, he's 100% real man. I find it really funny that there was actually a couple people in my comment section on the last video talking about that one remark that I made about chicks with a dick. Guys, I gotta be serious with you right here. That was a complete and utter true thing. That's actually true. I really do believe that. There's nothing wrong with a chick with a dick. Twisted World 2025. You can't play slots without a lever. We stand on it and we don't stop.
What's your name? Sasha. No, what's your real name? Carlo.
Huh?
What's your name?
Marco.
What?
And just like we don't stop, Space Ghost Perp doesn't stop either, because he continues on by saying Tracy, walrus ass looking ass nipple. I'm not gonna lie, Perp, you're kind of milking it at this point. The Pringles joke was funny, the walrus thing was kind of a little bit overboard, but then he continues on by saying the war is official. It's us hood N-words versus emo hipster ass N-words. We finna get rid of those emo hipster ass motherfuckers, and then he goes on to show a gun emoji. But honestly, Perp, you're kind of an emo motherfucker yourself, so what side of that war are you gonna be on? And what about Chapo, man? They're gonna have to rip him in half, because he's definitely a hood dude and he's also an emo dude. I mean, you can be the best of both worlds. Please don't put Chapo in the middle of this. He doesn't deserve it. And then after that, little Tracy ended up going on that same live stream which I was talking about before with Dave Blunts, where he had a little bit more to say about Space Ghost Perp. And this was honestly a really funny move from Tracy, because he basically was playing into everything that Space Ghost Perp was saying, with him being in a hotel crying, saying that he needed money from his fans and that he couldn't make it anymore because he was fully falling off.
Ever since bro died, I just was struggling. I just... Fuck!
I'm sobbing.
The vodka statistic, we just gonna glaze over that when it was these guys doing something.
Damn, man. It's been tough, man.
Is this real? This can't be real.
And shot 50%. Ahmed Thompson and Billy Brooks did it tonight. Now let's move on.
Please, cash at me, send me whatever, bro. Like, just help a nigga out, man. I fell off.
This can't be real. This got
You know what I'm saying?
satire.
And for some reason, Space Ghost Perp didn't realize that little Tracy was mocking him, and he was
Right.
taking this completely seriously by commenting on the live stream, basically saying, haha, I got you, I knew you were falling off, and I know you're sucking dick for money. And once again, I gotta say, Perp is a complete enigma. Sometimes he seems like he's really intelligent and he actually knows what he's doing, but in cases like this, he seems as dumb as a sack of rocks. And then after that, we actually got a recent live stream from Tracy, which only happened about 3 to 4 days ago, where he seems to be very inebriated, either on drugs or most likely alcohol. And if you can understand him, he's basically talking about how crazy it is that he actually has beef with Space Ghost Perp, because for years he looked up to him and now he's fighting with him. And honestly, I understand that feeling. It's pretty crazy when you get noticed by one of your favorite rappers, even if they are completely out of their mind.
I'm gonna sit here and cap y'all names down. SGP is a freak, so but his ass weak. I got beef with him. I'm not gonna lie though. He the real goat. I'm not gonna lie, he the goat. He the goat. But I got beef with his ass. Cause he was speaking on Craig. And I don't play about Craig. Him. That's real shit. I don't play about Craig.
But it seems like Perp no longer wants to engage with this. In fact, I can't even find his Instagram anymore. He either blocked me or he ended up taking it down. But if you guys have his new one, definitely point it out to me. And if he actually ended up getting off Instagram, well, we lost the real one. However, we're not quite done here yet, because I actually need to talk about one more thing that Space Ghost Perp said recently, because it turns out that he actually ended up squashing the beef with ASAP Rocky. With Perp hopping on Twitter to say the beef between ASAP Rocky and Space Ghost Perp is finally squashed via phone. And Rihanna is officially a part of the underground family, and this is not cap. And if this is actually true and Space Ghost Perp isn't just capping about it, it's pretty insane to think, because this beef has been going on for the better part of 14 years. There is so much history that goes into this beef, and if you guys want an entire video on that, I can definitely do so. But for right now, I'm only going to give you the important details. Basically, way back in the day in 2008, Space Ghost Perp got his start in the rap game by starting up this collective known as Raider Clan. This was comprised of a bunch of different underground rappers from Florida, but eventually it would get so big that it started to expand into different places around the country. And during the time that Raider Clan was really blowing up, Space Ghost Perp was going back and forth from Florida to New York. And oftentimes when he was in New York, he would click up with the ASAP Mob, which was a collective that was founded all the way back in 2006 and was headed by ASAP Yams and Rocky. And it wasn't long before Perp and Rocky became close friends, with them often doing freestyles together, which they'd post on YouTube, as well as a rumored collaboration album that was supposed to come out sometime in 2011. However, unfortunately, Space Ghost Perp wasn't able to hold it together, and there ended up being an incident where he would punch a Fader employee in the face, and after that, the ASAP Mob was kind of looking at him like he was damaged goods. At this point in late 2011, ASAP Rocky was really starting to blow up, so of course he was trying to clean up his reputation in hopes of getting a massive record deal and the most money that he could. So having somebody around like Space Ghost Perp, who was completely schizophrenic and out of his mind, constantly flip-flopping between being angry and happy, was not something that he needed at the time, so he would start to distance himself a little bit. On top of that, the Fader employee would press charges, meaning that Space Ghost Perp would have to turn himself in, so he would go to Rocky to ask what to do, and apparently Rocky told him that he shouldn't turn himself in and it wasn't a big deal, so Perp simply went back to Florida to hang out with Raider Clan. And then Rocky would go on to say the reason that Perp left the state in the first place was to try to get away from the police, with Perp coming after Rocky, saying that he was the one who told him to leave in the first place. Now, we don't know if Rocky actually ever said that in the first place, or if Perp is lying. It can be very frustrating covering Space Ghost Perp beefs, because with the way that he is, a lot of people that he beefs with don't like to reply to him because they don't want to feed into it anymore, leading us to only get one side of the story, which is Perp's side, which is probably not true half of the time. But no matter if Rocky said that or not, this led Perp to feel like he got stabbed in the back by the entire ASAP Mob, with him going on to say that the mob had taken all of their style from Raider Clan. And not only that, but he would also get all the other members of Raider Clan involved, basically starting this whole collective beef between the ASAP Mob and Raider Clan. And this would all reach a fever pitch when apparently ASAP Ferg disrespected Space Ghost Perp's dead brother, so he would go on to talk shit about ASAP Yams, who at that point had already passed away, with him even going on to get Chapo to make a whole diss track against ASAP Yams called Smoking Yams, which would then lead XXXTentacion and Denzel Curry to make a diss track on him called Space Ghost Pussy. There's really a lot of different aspects when it comes to this beef, but long story short, Space Ghost Perp basically ended up tearing apart start Raider Clan because he couldn't let go of his hatred for ASAP Mob, and ASAP Rocky went on to become an incredibly famous artist who is now married to Rihanna. And for years and years, Space Ghost Perp has been incredibly bitter, saying that he basically turned ASAP Rocky into everything he is nowadays, being upset that he's the one who got famous and that he left him behind in the dust. Where when Rocky actually does speak about Perp, he basically only says that he's schizophrenic and bipolar and that he doesn't fuck with him because he's completely out of his mind, which is definitely a fair assessment. And because of that, I kind of have my doubts that ASAP Rocky actually ended up talking to Perp on the phone. I mean, you would think that he would completely leave this guy behind and not give him any attention, because after all, ASAP Rocky basically has everything to lose and Space Ghost Perp doesn't really have anything. However, I do think that I've found out the reason that Perp thinks that the beef is squashed. It all comes down to the fact that recently Playboi Carti ended up putting out an album called I Am Music, and one of the songs off that project, going by the name of Crank, actually has a writing credit from Space Ghost Perp. Now, I don't think that this is anything all that serious. I don't think that Perp was sitting in the studio when Playboi Carti recorded the song or anything like that. It's probably just some old sample that ended up getting reused, so they had to credit Space Ghost Perp because he's the one who originally made it and probably still has copyright ownership over it. However, it seems like this made Perp really happy, because after he saw that the song was going to appear on the album, he would instantly hop on his story saying that the beef between him and Playboi Carti was now over. And if you're wondering why Space Ghost Perp and Playboi Carti have beef, it's really not all that deep. It comes down to the fact that back in the day when Playboi Carti was first starting off in the rap game, he was trying to become part of ASAP Mob. With him getting connected to ASAP Rocky, getting the VLON tattoo on his neck, basically doing anything he could to show support to the group in hopes of getting a little bit of clout off of them, which eventually worked out. Although there was one condition: if Playboi Carti was really going to get put on by ASAP Rocky, then he needed to show loyalty to the group, and the only way that he could do so was by going to a show and saying fuck Space Ghost Perp. And if you know anything about Playboi Carti's come up, you know that he was willing to even throw his best friends under the bus if it meant that it would open up an opportunity for him to gain a little bit more fame. So saying fuck you to a guy that he didn't even know was really easy for him, and well, he went through with it. I'll show you the clip right here. And all of that went down back in 2016, meaning that Space Ghost Perp has basically held a grudge for almost a decade at this point, but now that Playboi Carti has done something that he actually likes, apparently the beef is over. Now, I seriously doubt the two of them ever had a conversation. Maybe Space Ghost Perp can prove me wrong by posting the DMs, but to me, I really feel like there's no way that Playboi Carti would ever talk to Space Ghost Perp in the year of 2025. However, I could be wrong because Lucky and Playboi Carti actually recently had a beef, so it seems like he's a little bit off his game and he has been responding to other rappers more frequently than ever before. So who knows, it could be true, it could be false. We never really know when it comes to Space Ghost Perp, but when it comes to Playboi Carti, we're never going to get a response from him because he never really talks. But if this actually is somehow true, it's kind of nice to see. Apparently Space Ghost Perp actually can have character growth even after the age of 35 years old. So I guess we have no choice but to say W Perp for finally changing his ways. Although, I mean, he started 2 new beefs recently, so maybe not, but hey, it's some sort of growth. So with all that said, what do you think about this entire situation? Do you want to see Dave Blunts get better and healthier, or are you more entertained by him when he's unhealthy and crashing out? Are you hoping that Space Ghost Perp is going to go on a more peaceful route? What do you think about little Tracy? Let me know all of that in the comments below. I'll tell you what I think. I definitely want to see Dave Blunts and Space Ghost Perp go back and forth. I think that'd be the most entertaining beef of the summer of 2025, and I also want to see Space Ghost Perp beef with Kanye, because that would be the most entertaining beef of forever. A man can dream. A man can dream. But for now, that's all I have to say. Leave delete this in the comments below. Delete this gang is stronger than ever, and I will see you in the next one. Lucky beef video coming soon, and much more coming after that. Although I think tomorrow we're gonna have a little bit more of a serious video, so stick around for that. See you all there, and well, Space Ghost Perp forever. Peace out.
All right, chat. That was the Space Ghost Perp Dave Blunts versus Little Tracy video. Let me know how you feeling about that in the chat. And what do you guys think about Space Ghost Perp in this Little Tracy situation? I don't know. It's hard to take Space Ghost Perp seriously sometimes, although the man is fucking hilarious. that being said, I do appreciate everybody that pulled up to the stream today. Dope stream. I'm gonna be on Twitch this week as well, reviewing your music submissions. Head over to the Discord. You'll get all the alerts about that, as well as the ability to submit music for me to review as well. Once again, appreciate everybody pulling up